Hey there, my name's Megan and I am the Ultimate Hype Witch. Today I want to make a video on my story. I am the oldest of three siblings. I have two younger brothers. I was born in Annapolis, Maryland, lived in West Virginia, grew up in Ohio, and moved to Texas 12 years ago. Over 12 years ago at this point. Wow, time flies. um, and I have a lot of cousins on one side, big Italian family on one side, a very quiet family on the other. And I love my family. I'm super close to them. And I, love travel. I love helping people. I love hanging out with my friends, playing with my friends, having a good time, going to concerts, just having unique shared experiences is like my love language. I'm an Enneagram 7, so I'm an enthusiast. I love to have fun. And I'm an ENFJ, the protagonist. Yeah, I'm a Pisces sun, lots of Sag placements, lots of Capricorn placements, and Aries rising. Currently in my Saturn's return again, went back in it for a few more months, but that's okay. Feeling really great, feeling really renewed right now. And I guess I'll just talk about my spiritual story, really. I think that's a really cool place to start and talk about and discuss. So I've always been like spiritually tapped in. I, I was Catholic, grew up Catholic, went to Catholic school my entire life, and found yoga when I was about 15. Always was like a tea drinker, was like a baker, loved that energy. Me and my bestie loved to do that in high school, all of those things. And so yeah, that always was spiritual. In high school, we had a spirituality class. So that was amazing and very different, especially for a Catholic school. I recognize that my high school was amazing and like all about being true to yourself and educating your heart and your mind. Like it was very much a united front. They weren't seen as separate. It was all, one and the same. And so we had the spirituality class. We'd have to go to other, religions, write papers on them. We were taught to meditate. We also went on like Kairos. They're these weekend retreats that are led by our peers. And in those retreat weekends, you're broken up into groups, but it's like about 40 people ish. And every night a few people are sharing their story, and some of them, their story is, the most devastating thing you'd ever hear, right? And these are your peers. And so we were taught to become witnesses of our peers and to become empathetic witnesses and to see that, not all that you see at school is what's happening beyond the surface. And so, yeah, like went on these retreats. I went on some to Appalachia in high school for a week, and visited, became a witness to the people of Appalachia and got to immerse myself in their world. I was always involved in campus ministry, always like of service, really enjoyed that. And in college, did the same thing, campus ministry trips. I went to the Apache reservation in Arizona for a week. I went to India and did this orphan outreach for 2 weeks. I really always enjoyed my service, and I think that goes hand in hand with spirituality. And when I was in college, I might have been 21, 22, And I remember seeing a video about ayahuasca, and that piqued my interest. And I was like, wow. From my point of view back then, it was a drug, right? It's not, but I was like, wow, I'd never, I have no desire to do drugs, but I would really be interested in this ayahuasca thing. It seems like it's doing something differently than what I'd witnessed other people experiencing with, psychedelics or weed or anything. And so it was just on my mind. I knew it wasn't going to happen anytime soon, but I was down. And so a few years later, I think it was 26, went down to Peru, sat with ayahuasca, and had an amazing time, had 3 sits. And, it was really powerful. It showed me a lot. It showed me about taking care of the planet, showed me about unconditional love, and showed me about community, the importance of community. And then I was really craving it at that time. And so that was that. I'd done, all the yogas. I'd done breath work. I've done sound healings, all of that. But it wasn't until I went 2022, really, that, I guess 2021, yeah. I found this woman. Her name's Rebecca. She's amazing. And she is an administrator, a facilitator of Combo, which I've talked about before. I met her. I sat with her in between my breakup with my ex, and thought I was purging out that relationship. Ended up getting back with him. Ended up purging a lot of stuff that I was holding on to from my childhood, and that was really beautiful. It's stuff that I thought was going to come up during my ayahuasca journey, and it didn't, and I was really surprised by that. So it was really beautiful and really powerful for that medicine to clear it out, because it's not a psychedelic. It's just it's just not a psychedelic. So I've had some really powerful experiences with medicine, and I don't believe that you need psychedelics to have huge healing breakthroughs. But anyways, so after I sat with her, go back with my ex, and then around my birthday of 2022, on 2/22/2022, literally, that is when I gifted myself the retreat, which was 2/2/22. I had found Rebecca, and I was in this busiest time of my life, was so stressed out, was living 40 minutes out of the city, kind of, with my ex, and working, and it was real estate, was super busy then. And I was just seeking something. I didn't necessarily know what, but I knew that whatever I was doing needed to stop. And Rebecca posted about this women's retreat, and I was curious about it. I reached out, and she put me on the, intrigue call. And when I get on the call and they're talking, her and her friend Bijou are sharing about it, I'm like, okay, sounds cool. I've never been on a retreat like this. I don't know anything about this kind of stuff. But I was like, I'm down, I'm in. It's got combo, it's got mushrooms, women's retreat, 80-acre farm in Virginia, in the Blue Ridge Mountains. I was in. After the call, she had messaged me saying, I think you'd be great with the June crew, da-da-da-da. They're super playful, super light, like you. And I was like, honestly, that's the only one that would work for me. So sounds great. And so fast forward to June, the night before, my ex and I end our 5.5-year relationship. And when I say it was karmic, I mean, dang, the karma on that one was a karmic wheel that seemed never ending. And it ended the night before I left for this retreat. And so the next day I get on a plane and I'm going to Virginia, and my layover's in Charlotte, and I'm crying, but cool and all the things, and I'm in the Charlotte airport, and I've got a client terminating a contract, just so much is blowing up in my world. And I'm just I'm handling it pretty well, if I'm being honest. I felt pretty complete about the relationship. I didn't want to get back with him. It was one of those, it was definitely like door was closed kind of thing. And I had committed to I didn't get on Instagram. I didn't text him for 5.5 months, either of those things after our breakup, did not do any of that. Had very hard, cleared boundaries. But we're on this Virginia retreat, and eventually it's like stormy in Charlotte, like can't get there. Eventually the plane gets there, and I meet the other women. 2 women dropped out. It's 2 best friends running it, 2 best friends there, and then me. And I'm 27 at the time, and everyone else is in their 30s, 40s. They're married, they've got life partners, etc. And we finally get to the house in Virginia, and everyone's going around the table, talking, sharing, and eventually people start talking about their partners. And I can just feel myself being like, oh gosh, we have to talk about this right now. Like, we just got here. And it's like Friday night or Thursday night. And they're like, what about you, Megan? And I'm like, well, my partner and I, 5.5 years, just ended our relationship last night. So, or I said, we just broke up last night. And they're like, how long are you together? I said, 5.5 years. And I was like, oh, okay. So it's kind of where we end things. We go to bed. We're in our cute little rooms that Bijou decorated for us, Mushroom Mamacita. And yeah, so, we start the weekend. We wake up, we go on a hike, we do yoga in the forest. A deer like pops out. We've been really calling in the bears, and I'll get to that. But so yeah, we get settled in. We just get to know each other. We really just kind of move through like the weekend together. We eventually sit with combo together. So Rebecca leads us through that, and it's so beautiful. And she puts 5 points on up my, I forget which ones. I think the sacral or maybe it was the root and the sacral. I forget. Or the sacral and the heart. There's 5 points on there. I was just like, do whatever you need to. And I just purged. So it was like 4 points she puts on, and I'm purging. Oh my gosh. And then she's like, how do you feel? I'm like, add that 5th point. And I was like, boom, 5th year. Let's get it all out. Like, we got year 1 through 4. Boom. Clear it all out. So we do that, and that's amazing. I had such an incredible experience. I was so emptied out, so light. And this property has multiple creeks running through it. It's quartz crystals surrounding you. It's a quartz crystal mountain. So there's just literally quartz crystal boulders all around. And so it's just a magical time. The next day, we are having our mushroom journey, and the woman I'm with are, super magical people. I can tell something's gonna happen. I don't know what, but it's gonna happen. And so we sit there and we do some breath work, and I see a lotus. I see someone sitting in the Buddha, like the Buddha position, and then some Egyptian figure, which I do not know. And then I'm just kind of moving my hips around, and then I'm kind of moving, my eyes are closed, and I like go on the couch, and I close my eyes, and there is this multi-dimensional fox taking me through a wormhole. And it is cosmic. There's colors. It's like streaky. It's like I just remember it was like, and eventually we get through the other side, and I open my eyes, and they're like, are you ready? And I was like, yeah. And so we go outside, and we're all just hanging out, and eventually one of the women's like, Megan needs to find her voice. And I'm looking out at the forest, and there's this big gust of wind that comes through, and I realize that I can't speak. And I turn around, and another woman has her drum, and she's like, okay, like, we're gonna go. And so she like beats on her drum, and then she says, okay, just like after me, you're gonna say just be, right? So like 1, 2, 3, and I don't say anything, and then she's like, come on, you got it. And it's just 1, 2, 3, and I go, just be. And my throat opens up. I have this major throat activation, and I find my voice. I start channeling. Mother Mary comes in. All of these beautiful guides and angels come through, and I and goddesses, and I am fully activated and fully online, and just so much happens and unlocks so much within me that the next morning my jaw is so tight. And I am like, what is going on? Oh my gosh. And one of the women's like, that's what happens when you activate your voice. It's like my throat was just getting opened up for the first time. And I had been stifling it. I had been holding myself back. I had been holding back that throat chakra for so long. And so the rest of the weekend happens. We're having our integration, and I channel, and I recognize that this was an initiation into my womanhood, and that I will not be living the life I had been living prior to that, and what true alignment was. And that, you can be doing all the things, buying all the books, reading all the things, doing all the breath work, doing all the thing, sitting with the ayahuasca, doing it all, right? Doing the yoga, journaling. But until you get it, until you truly see how you're living out of alignment, you will never have what you actually desire and what you actually need. And you will not be in true alignment with the words you speak and the actions that you take. Nothing will come your way, right? And so all of that's coming through, and it's so powerful and so beautiful. It is like my fullest, like final awakening, right? Because I've been tapped in and aware of my spirituality for a very long time. But this one was like the sigh of relief. I call it my sigh of relief. And I often, when I share my story, I talk about the song Amazing Grace. And it's, I once was lost, but now I'm found, was blind, but now I see. And once I saw how I had been living, then there was no way I was ever going back to that. There was no way, nothing. I'm like, whoa, this is how life is supposed to be. Just like, I was fully turned on to life. My joy was back. My happiness was back. Like, I had been shutting down so much of that in myself for so long, and the dial was turned all the way up, and I was just like, woo. And as we left the mountain, literally I had no service, and as we're leaving the mountain, I'm getting a text from a friend. I had to sell her $1 million property. I have messages from these clients, and within 3 weeks of that retreat, I went with 3 days I came back 3 days later, went under contract on a $2.6 million property, and was closed within 2 weeks of that. So it was like highest timeline came in, like real true abundance, real true alignment, real true truth of who I am and what I'm meant to be doing here, and how I'm meant to be doing it, and how I was meant to be showing up at that time for everyone and myself and others. And then it just snowballed. It was a snowball effect. It's like going into this, I was crying, losing a client, way smaller transaction, still would have loved it, obviously, but came out of it, and boom, 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 abundance coming my way, like relationships, community, etc. Like after that moment, the Virginia portal was the turning point of my life. It was the initiation into womanhood. It was the initiation into me honing in on my spirituality and understanding how to work with all of these energies and guides. And it took me on the ride of my life. And I'm still in it. This year's been a lot different than the last the 2022, 23, 24. 2025's had a lot of initiations because of the year of the snake, which it was inevitable that it was going to have to happen. But I feel renewed again, and I'm back in that energy now. And I can continue on with all of these examples. I was led to Costa Rica for 2 weeks, came back, turned back around, went for another 2 weeks, like closed on more properties, was just in that abundance and alignment, and have been ever since. And I just never want to go back to who I was. I never want to go back from turning away from who I am. I no longer want to stifle my throat and my throat chakra and speaking my truth, because I was living such a small shell of a life. And as soon as I turned it around, I turned my life on, like turned it on fully. And I have cultivated the most beautiful community. I've cultivated the most beautiful relationships, depth-filled relationships, curiosity, joy, happiness, like, and there's continued community, and there's continued exploration and curiosity, and there's still so much more to go, and there's always another layer to take it, another layer deeper, right? But I felt so good in my life, and I've been really enjoying living this bliss. I know that I'm on the precipice, and I'm being initiated into my next echelon of my spiritual practice, which is coming back and teaching and sharing my wisdom and helping people get through their breakthrough moments and transforming their lives. Like, that is what I'm here to do. I know that. Like, my purpose is to bring spirit to body, to help people understand and merge the worlds versus thinking of them as separate. I grew up in that religious environment, and it was never really like this is integrated kind of thing. Not fully, right? It's not like how they kind of explain it, or that's not how I saw it. That's not how I perceived what was going on. And then when, you allow that full surrender and that those activations to happen, and you allow yourself to really take accountability for where you were, but find that grace within yourself, forgive the other people who, may have not acted in their highest form. Thank them for getting you to where you're meant to be, because I was meant to be where I am now. I've worked so hard, and I am so intentional about everything I do because of that Virginia retreat and because of the spiritual depth I have allowed myself to go down and go towards. Like, I go through so many journals every year. I love writing. I love sharing what I find. I love sharing about my experiences. I love sharing the common themes that are interwoven between the human collective. I have a lot of friends in different groups, but typically people are always going through the same stuff, and that's always really beautiful to recognize the patterns. But yeah, that's a shortened version of my story. It's like the spiritual part of it. There's so much more I can share, and I probably will as time goes on, as this channel evolves. But that feels complete for now. Basically, I moved from being a victim and finding total freedom and liberation within me. And I had these beautiful mirrors to be my permission slip to be my authentic version of myself. And I'm still friends with those women to this day. I see them all of the time. Like, we were meant to meet. Like, we have the deepest of bonds together, right? And we were meant to cultivate that relationship. We were meant to be there. I always tell my friends that they had to put on their cosmic jetpacks and pick me up, because I'm like the last one to join the squad. and it all worked out. And like, I found my people, right? It's like, I found my people. I finally found that community that I've been craving years prior, sitting with ayahuasca in 2019. Oh my gosh. So how old was I? Wait, was I 24? Yeah, I was 24 when I sat with ayahuasca. Wow, I was a lot younger than I realized. Okay. Um, but anyways, yes, I finally found my people, and I've like finally cultivated relationships that I've wanted my entire life, like more of them. It's like I've had plenty of like depth-filled relationships, and some, sometimes friendships have their seasons, but and I still have friends from high school, etc. But dang, like I found my forever people, and that feels amazing to know that it exists and it's possible. And I want to be that permission slip for other people too, to show you that you can do anything that you want in this life. You just have to believe and bet on yourself, because you know yourself better than anyone else, no matter what these other people think. Maybe it's your partner of 25 years. Yes, they're beautiful mirrors, but no one knows you like you know you. And no one knows your lived experience like you know your lived experience. And, we can always put ourselves in other people's shoes, but they will never be you unless if some Freaky Friday accident happens, which would be pretty freaking cool. As long as we go back. But yeah, just keep going. If you're at a place in life where you're not totally satisfied, just know that it gets better, and it's part of the journey. And if you have fun with it and you face it head on, and you go there with some fierce grace and some curiosity and some joy, and you lean in even though it's terrifying and you're at the edge of everything you know and everything you've ever known, just know that life can get even better than you could ever freaking imagine. And that's like what a quantum leap is. It's just leaning in when you're meant to be becoming small, right? That's exactly what it is. All right. Well, my name's Megan. If you've made it this far, thank you so much for listening. My story is so special to me. There's so much more to it, but that's enough for YouTube version of it. I hope you have a magical day. I am the Ultimate Hype Witch, and I will see you here soon. Hey there, I am Megan, and I am the Ultimate Hype Witch. I am renewed energy. I'm here to play and put more content out here. I hope it finds you well. I am working on finalizing my website right now. This week is crunch time. I'm using this energy, and I'm just here to do it. Yes, let's go. But for this video, I want to talk about perception. It's a good one. I love this topic because I believe that, our external world is a reflection of our internal reality, right? And what we believe is what we see, and it's what we create, and it's what we're going to continue to co-create. A long time ago, I was living a very different life than I am now. I had a quantum leap, posted a video about it on the page. There's a video about my story as well, which you can go and listen to if you're interested for more details on it. But I'm, unlocked a lot, had a massive awakening, lots of magic has come online, and basically remembered who I am and what I'm here to do. And then fast forward to here, the Ultimate Hype Witch has been birthed for real. And so perception, because I love thinking about this, because every single person has their own perception of what's happening. They have their own biases. They've decided what's happening inside of their head. They always say it's like you witness something, and there's as many witnesses as there are to it, as there's that many versions of it, right? So perception's interesting, right? I'm sure someone has been judged and misperceived by someone, or, rather their perception of you is a lot different than how you perceive yourself, how a lot of other people typically perceive you. And it can be shocking at first. And then you kind of have to evaluate and get curious about, okay, well, where are they coming from? Okay, do I see what they're saying? Or is a lot of what they're saying not really holding a lot of weight, and it has everything to do with them and nothing to do with you, really, right? And that's always like that beautiful dance in the line of being like, okay, are you being a sacred mirror to me, or am I about to have to be a sacred mirror for you? And really give you some tough love on how you treat people and how you talk to people, etc., and what you project onto people, because there are plenty of projections that people like to throw on you because they've already decided who you are, yet they don't even know you at all. I've had people this past year say some things to me where I'm like, you've never even asked me a question, and you have decided for yourself who I am, and that is not going to live rent free in my head for too long, because I do not subscribe to people who lack curiosity, people who live in fear and have a lot of judgment on their heart. That's not how I live my life. That's not how I like to move through life. And I pray for them. I hope that they find peace within themselves so that they can find peace externally, right? Because those people who have had issues with me have had issues with a lot of other people in my circle and in the community. So I know that I'm not alone. And when you hear that, you go, okay, that's actually giving me a lot more grace, and I give them a lot more grace and leeway and say, I hope you find your way and deal with all of those perceptions on your own. But I can speak from my own experience of misperceptions. When I went through my quantum leap and had this aha moment and this sigh of relief, all of a sudden reality looked way different than it just did like 5 days prior. And that has everything to do with your perception and how you view yourself, how you view the world, how you view other people. And there are a lot of people who are trying to convince you to look at the world a certain way, right? Think about the news outlets. Think about all of those, social media accounts, etc. So-and-so, XXX, all the things, right? Did this today. Someone so killed it. There's a lot going on, right? And so there's always constantly some negative stuff just hitting our nervous systems, and our perception of the world can get so fragmented if we do not exercise and flex our mind and allow ourselves to set these energetic boundaries, and to allow ourselves to say, yes, there are some horrible, horrific things going on. It does seem like the world is on fire and that it's being purged, and that there is a new earth being scorched right now, and something new will be birthed very quickly and very soon, because that is how our human nature is and Mother Nature is, right? Even if there's a fire, you might perceive it as a terrible thing, but she was angry and she raged, and she needed to share a message and get her point across, because no one's been listening. People have been perceiving what she's saying to be very different, right, than what's actually going on. And people have been convinced that, everything's fine. We're just extracting all of these resources from her and she's not gonna be mad. It's just very much not the giving tree, right? It's like you can give, but if you aren't receiving on the receiving end of stuff and you're just being taken from, it's not going to work out. That's out of balance. So yeah, that's, perception. It's very easy to deceive yourself. And so for me, I, saw the world in one way and saw community and relationship and parenting and all of these pillars in a totally different way than I see them now. And it's because I allowed myself to change my mind. And I allowed myself to change as a human and to evolve. And a lot of people who have these perceptions and judgments of themselves or others, they're holding on, they're clinging. You can always see they're holding on and clinging to so much of their own pain and sorrow, and they have nothing probably going on in their lives that like this is like the most important thing, right? And it's taking up so much space because their priorities are just a lot different than yours. And so when people are throwing their perceptions at you, how do you take them? And when you're throwing perceptions at other people and it backfires, how do you take that? Do you back down or do you double down? Do you back off and say, oh, yeah, you're right. I was wrong. I'm so sorry. Do you let the ego win and pride win? Or do you allow yourself some grace and, you know, say your sorries, right? And apologize. Sorry, there was a shadow, but it's just a tree. So anyways, perception. Sorry if that just got cut off. I was in the middle of a rant. But yeah, I love talking about perception, and I would love to hear something you used to perceive as one thing, but when you shifted your mind and your reality bent to whatever your mind, however your mind shifted, how did your perceptions change? And if our mind is that powerful, what else can we change, right? What more of our reality can we change? What more of our reality can we take control of, whether it's individually or collectively? And I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. How can we all change our perspectives, change our perceptions, shift those into a higher timeline for the new earth to come online, for all of our gifts to come online, for a more creative and harmonious world to come through, for you to step more into your purpose and become the permission slip for so many other people to live their authentically expressed lives. I would love to hear your thoughts on perception, misperception, perception, all of it, because we're all judging. That's like the mind. Like, it's like there's so much judgment coming in, whether it's good or bad. Like, we're always analyzing things that are coming in. And sometimes we just have to allow ourselves to just be in order for us to see clearly. We remove ourselves, become a witness to it, allow our hearts to show us the way, and then our perception can change. But yeah, because sometimes our perception can actually be deception. All right, my name is Megan, and I am the Ultimate Hype Witch. I hope you have a magical, magical day.